Hello, everybody.
Greetings.
Oh, yeah. Did I explain to you why I do that, Tim?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the YouTube is working right. you know, um,
I just don't like awkward silence after that.
yeah. All right. So, with that, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mikestand. We're starting off the week here. If you haven't already, of course, you guys can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. And Elk is saying hi. He was on with us last night. You know, um, hey Elk, hail Xenu and Xena. All right. So, so with that, so before we, of course, before we get going, of course, we're gonna, Tim, if you want to if you want to, you can do an intro. Maybe promote anything you're doing, share any links. You know the stick, right?
Yes, I do. So Melvin 1 and 2 special editions are on Walmart, Amazon, and Barnes and Noble. Check it out. You know where those websites are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, you not feeling like sharing any links tonight or anything like that?
Well, I can. It's just like Walmart, Amazon, and the biggest stores in the world.
Oh, so you just figure if you tell them that, people will just know to go to the site then.
Yeah. I mean,
All
hold
right.
on. I mean, you go. I just there's so many. There's like three websites, and I don't know if I want to give every single link to to two books from three websites.
All right. I just would think I'd give you a chance if you wanted to.
I'm sharing them. I'm sharing them.
All right. So there's the one.
There, and here's well, they're both to the Amazon since everybody likes Amazon. So uh, I had to stop the show just so I can continue with your show, sir.
All right. Well, I mean, okay. So, well, I guess while you're sharing the links, and I'll highlight those when you get them all up. I guess. So what we can do then is let me tell everybody what's on tap for tonight. So we do have at least one article we're going to go over from Bounding into Comics. Um, I guess it was an interview that Bruce Timm, who is one of the producers on a lot of the Warner Brothers animation stuff, from dating back all the way back to the '90s, well into today. He talked about recently where there might not have even been a Superman the animated series if he had decided to do the collaboration with the Freakazoid producer. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. Also, of course, the wrestling wrap up in this day and age history. So without any further ado, then why don't we go ahead and pull that all up, and then we will get started on the article. And then Tim, of course, as always, if anything here in the article grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. Well, let's look at this now. So, Superman the animated series might not have happened if Bruce Timm committed to a collaboration on Freakazoid with Steven Spielberg. Article by J.B. Augustine, published on April 12th, which of course is uh, last Friday. Freakazoid. Did you watch that cartoon?
I thought it was stupid, but that's just me. I mean, like was it Nickelodeon,
No, it was on Warner Brothers. It was part of
Cartoon
the
Network?
CW. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think ever since Ren and Snippy, that was like the pinnacle of '90s cartoons. That wasn't how do I say this? It was it was the pin. It was the kind of the symbol of '90s cartoons. You know, Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead. So
Hmm.
all these other cartoons that came after Ren and Stimpy was off the air, but were kind of copycats.
Yeah. Well, Freakazoid was kind of a, was kind of a, you know, you know, one of those type of comedies where it's stupid comedy. It's like, okay, the guy's kind of acting the fool, and because he's acting the fool, he's fun. That's what makes it funny. You
Yeah,
know.
I
Uh,
didn't find him funny at all. I found him stupid. That's just me. I thought Johnny Bravo was an interesting cartoon character.
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because even before the cartoon, um, if you, I don't know if you remember Brady Bunch. If you ever saw Brady Bunch.
I didn't like Brady Bunch.
Okay, well, Johnny Bravo was an alias that Greg used when he was trying to get into the music business.
Oh right, yeah. I'm talking about the character that talked like kind of like Elvis.
Yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I've seen Johnny Bravo before. In fact, he even had a bit of a crossover with Scooby Doo. In fact,
Uh,
where the girl, where in particular Velma, he wanted Daphne, but Daphne, of course, was with Fred, and Velma wanted him. you know. So, anyways, getting into the article here. Superman, the animated series, sits in a weird place within DC animated canon. It's a successor, and a worthy one at that, to Batman the Animated Series that teed up the new Batman Adventures, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. And without it, Clancy Brown wouldn't be Lex Luthor, frankly. But the show is more of an obscure gem nowadays, as pivotal as it was. In parentheses here, a blasphemous idea to those of us who grew up with it. Unparenthesed. A redefining iteration of the Man of Steel, as much as Batman the Animated Series was for the Dark Knight, turned into this missing link of the DCAU, at least for Zoomers. Hmm. Never mind that they owe it a debt for making Jack Kirby in the fourth world mainstream. Hmm. Yeah, with Michael Ironside providing the voice of Darkseid in that, Michael Dorn providing the voice of of Calabac, and then Desaad, basically Renee, I believe it was Renee Aubert Juanois who reprised that role at one point in the show. So, um, he had earlier did it for Super Friends cartoon, the legendary Super Friends show back in the 80s. And for those of you who don't know who Rene Aubert Juanois is Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He was also Clayton from Benson. So, um, anyways, getting back to the article here. Those impressive credentials aside, there is more to the origins of the series, which probably won't surprise our dear readers. It almost didn't happen and only came about when executive producer and animator Bruce Timm's involvement in another project fell through. Hmm. Now, Tim, did you watch a lot of the DCAU?
I think I went as far as Batman the Animated Series. I wasn't really big on Superman.
Okay, and of course, did you watch some of the follow ups like Static Shock or Zeta Project or
Not
Justice League?
really. No,
Not really.
I wasn't big on DC. I thought they were kind of. I mean, I thought that they were lame. I was more of a Marvel guy, and then I was more after that. I was more of an Image guy.
All right. Hmm. All right. So, and there's Lex Luthor and Superman. Superman was voiced by Tim Daly in the show, and then Luthor was voiced by Clancy Brown. so, back in the 90s, Warner Brothers started its network called the WB, which allowed them to produce more of their content in house with a tailor made outlet of distribution. Kids WB soon followed, and so did a reduced need for airtime on Fox for groundbreaking animated stalwarts, Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, and yes, Batman. Yeah, I don't know if you remembered that, but before settling in on WB, a lot of these cartoons initially started off on Fox.
I know that. I was around in the 90s.
Okay. As the Kids WB lineup was growing during the day and on Saturday mornings, multi Oscar winning director and producer Steven Spielberg entered the picture wanting to work with Tim, but sadly not on Superman. And I guess that's Steven Spielberg right there. Uh, quote, at the time, there wasn't, in brackets, much interest in Superman. I don't really know why. It seems like a natural. We weren't interested in doing it at first. Nothing really happened, and then it's a really weird left turn, unquote, Tim explained in an interview with Comicology. Comicology. Quote, Steven Spielberg, of all people, liked the Batman show and said that he wanted to do something with us. But he didn't know what, so we had a meeting with him. We talked about a bunch of different ideas for what we could do as an action adventure show. And the one that he really liked was this one called Freakazoid, unquote, he revealed. The original pitch for Freakazoid, however, wasn't quite the zany metatune viewers that were used in the 90s might remember, airing on Saturdays around 1996. Tim had an entirely different vision for it than Spielberg, who won out after a few meetings. So I guess it was Steven Spielberg who thought of doing the zany Freakazoid bit. Quote, I bailed on it really early. It started out as an adventure show, but it ended up turning into more and more of a comedy show. Every time we'd have a meeting with Steven, the concept would kind of change, and it kept leaning more and more towards zany comedy, unquote, said Tim. Quote, it really started out almost like Spider-Man, on the level of like a teenage superhero, and it reached a point where it became a comedy with the Tiny Toons, Animaniacs kind of humor, unquote, he added. Tim had been there and done that with no taste for that kind of material. So he quote unquote bailed in his words and left his staff to do the heavy lifting. Quote, I just hung out here while my staff had to do the show, unquote, he said. Hmm. So you think that if Tim had won out in that case and he was able to make it more of a serious show, because you said you like Batman. Now, Grant, I know you said you're not into Marvel as much, and that's all right. But had it gone the
I
more
said
route, you
DC.
would
I
have
said
watched
DC.
it. You would have given it a chance.
Oh my god. I said DC. Marvel. I was a Marvel guy originally, and then I found Image Comics.
Yeah,
I mean the whole. I mean, look at the character Freakazoid. Can you take that seriously?
probably not. But then again, I think at least in Spielberg's view, um, is he really meant to be taken seriously? I mean, um,
I mean, I can't even like not even like a teenager, like a wisecracking teenager. It just looks silly.
hmm.
I mean, it's like I can't even take that seriously with the stupid hair and the dumb grin on his face and that little mask. It just looks like it's just a character that you don't take too seriously.
Somebody like, I guess, like Ambush Bug, maybe.
No. I don't know about Ambush Bug. Like again, I don't.
Ambush Bug was a character in DC who was actually kind of a parody type character.
Oh, must have
But
been like
if you don't even know who he is, then the question, I guess, goes moot anyways.
Yeah, well, I mean, DC had a lot of characters that weren't as catchy as like Batman or Wonder Woman or Superman
Yeah.
and probably ended up being like a more to the month kind of character.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, continuing on with the article, then the discussions of Superman-related projects started. Quote: At one point, there was talk about a Superman movie. That's probably what started the ball rolling. Brackets on the animated series. Unquote. Tim recalled. Quote: So one day I had a meeting with my boss, Jean McCurdy, and she said, "Quote: Do you want to do Superman cartoons?" And that time I said, "Quote: Yes." Unquote. Laughs. After Freakazoid, it was like, "Yes, I want to do Superman cartoons. I didn't even have to think about it," he exclaimed. Can you imagine that moment of seeing him get all excited on that?
I remember watching a little bit of it, but I mean, like the Batman cartoon is what
The
I
crossover Worlds Apart.
no. I think the last Batman thing I saw was Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah. So Freakazoid, the parody of superheroes, starring the adventures of a teen granted powers by a computer virus caused by his parrot cat, Mr. Chubbikins, ended its run in the summer of '97. Okay. And George Newbern eyeing his in Justice League Unlimited. Yeah, George Newbern took over the voice of Superman from Tim Daly when they started doing Justice League. I think Daly was on some other projects. That's why they didn't make the change. But Superman would roll on for a few years and almost immediately spin off into Justice League. You can consider that a testament to Superman the Animated Series' cultural impact and staying power, but fans need not be picky or petty. Both series of those old and new can be caught up with from beginning to end on streaming platforms from TV to Max. It sounds
Elk is upset there are 3 people watching and feels like you're horning in on his turf.
What was that?
The Elk says 3 watching. Who is horning in on my turf? Foul spirit, reveal thyself.
uh, we obviously want more viewers. That's why I often ask you guys to like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. You know, that way we can get more people involved and watching and all that. You know.
I actually think I didn't really follow a cartoon until I saw Billy and Mandy, and even then, it's like I don't mind catching like little snippets of some of their episodes on YouTube.
So let me just see something here. Okay. I thought there might have been something that might have popped up. I guess it didn't pop up on here because there was an article that Dara Dark did earlier today. I thought she got from Bounding in the Comics. I guess she didn't. Basically about somebody from Hollywood once again, praising something Crunchyroll did. So, Anyways, let me go. Let's go see if we can find anything else to see where we at on time here. Let's see. Oh, 20 minutes. So yeah, we got. See if anything new popped up. If anything popped up in the last few hours here since I last checked this site. And no, that was the last thing we read yesterday. Actually, was it though? Actually, oh wait, that's right. I don't think we did because we did tell. Okay, it was that. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can do this one because I was gonna try to do this one yesterday, but we got onto another conversation. So, but we did a couple from. So let's do this one. Dark Horse. Dark Horse Comics announces another gimmick horror comic book, um, published yesterday. Oh, so this one might be right up your. Cause aren't you into like horror comics, Tim?
Oh yeah, like EC comic book stuff. Yeah.
Oh, actually, we did actually do this article yesterday. Well, I guess I
Uh
could.
oh.
I guess I did do that article. I wasn't sure if I did or not, but I guess we did do that article then. Oh yeah, it was the other one we didn't get. I was going to get to that we didn't get back to. Okay, the one that we just did.
I
But,
see.
but since you're here, Tim, I know as I said you're into horror comics. So I'm sure you might have some commentary in here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one again, then. Dark Horse Comics announces another gimmick horror comic book. Article by Avi Green, published April 14th, which was yesterday. Deadline announced that writer Gerard Way is launching yet another horror comic on the market. This one titled Paranoid Gardens. And then this is from the article he's referencing here. My Chemical Romances, Gerard Way, creator of the comic The Umbrella Academy, is teaming with Dark Horse Comics to launch horror comic Paranoid Gardens in July. Way is back working with his co-writer Sean Simon, Chris Weston, known for his work in comics at Vertigo and DC, as well as his work in concept art, storyboards, and costume concept art for movies such as Star Wars: The Last Jedi, is illustrating the series, with artist Motohiro Hayakawa providing cover art for the first issue.
Okay. Point of order there.
All
Anything that has to do with anybody who worked on Last Jedi, automatically it's a loss. That was a crappy movie.
What was that? What was that, Tim?
The Last Jedi was a crappy movie. I mean, I've never stood up at the end of a movie and said and yelled out loud, "That's it."
uh,
Because I mean, I remember thinking, this was this even worth the money I paid to see this? I just literally at the end, is that it? That's it. It was the worst film ever. And somebody's working who worked on that movie is working on this book. It's already a loss. And then of course it's written by the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. I don't know if it's actually going to be any good.
well, apparently this isn't Way's first. They're talking his first foray into comics, apparently, because he wrote the Umbrella Academy.
Isn't that an anime? I mean, a manga.
No, well, no, I don't think so. Granted, there are a number of animes that have Academy in the title,
Right.
but that's not one of them.
Maybe they should have one with the word.
There is apparently a Japanese artist working on providing at least cover art for the first issue, Motohiro Hayakawa. Dark Horse Comics describes the new comic as Derek meets Doctor Who in 6 psychotic episodes. Unquote.
I was gonna say maybe they should have a title with the word cram school in it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Now I remember because I remember we had a few because Elk was a big Kafka fan, and this is where that all started. So, quote, along with his equally radical writing partner, Sean Simon, we've created a wild and psychedelic tale that combines Kafkaesque nightmares with sweet Silver Age reveries. Unquote.
Here's a question: what does he mean by radical?
Well, I don't know because it could depending upon what radical as in like is he an SJW radical or radical like 80s right like rad dude radical dude I couldn't really tell you that though. uh, let's see. Weston continued, quote, within the pages of Paranoid Gardens, you'll find a curious care home peopled with aliens, ghosts, and caped heroes recovering from psychotic episodes. The very ground it's built on is febrile and fertile, and lusted after by the minions of Mammon. It's the perfect remedy for all those stricken with superhero fatigue and needing a fix of something a bit more mind-bending and unpredictable, unquote. So, and then this is Avi speaking again here. Franz Kafka may have been a famous writer in his time, but that still doesn't make the story by way such a big deal. We practically have to hear the MSM putting such a huge emphasis upon it with the promotional statement and supposedly drawing inspiration from a scribe of the early 20th century who lived in the Czech Republic. Yeah, I remember this statement is one in particular that I'm sure he's probably saying something in the comments right now in the chat that yeah he was not happy with how Avi because Elk is apparently a big fan of Kafka. That's what he told me.
I've never read anything Kafka's ever done, so I don't know.
So let's see. Oh yeah, then we already we did.
Now,
Yeah, I know we did that one. I didn't remember if we did about Kafka's. Yeah, I figured as I was already here, so I might as well. I might as well.
I like the simple. I like the simple. The reason why the EC comics worked is because they were morality tales, and usually people who were getting punished at the end of the story were usually wicked people in general. Like for instance, the Christmas one where this woman kills her husband so she can get the insurance money, and there's a maniac running around outside with a Santa Claus suit. She gets hers when her daughter lets in Santa Claus, right? Because she spent all this time trying to hide all the evidence of killing her husband, and she gets killed by a maniac.
The only literally clever line in the article by Mr. Green, Way is back. Kafka is still a famous writer now.
What paragraph is he talking about?
This paragraph is dumb. Sentence
by sentence. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Again, we learned that Elk is a very big fan of Kafka, and so
well, I can tell. I can tell by how he's talking.
Yeah. A country none of these writers in the USA really seem to care about as much as they do the horror theme itself. Regrettably, comedy comics don't seem to get much traction in the mainstream press, by contrast, due to all the PC influence that's hurt the entertainment industry for over a decade now. And that's very sad.
Yep. They're like they're like a baby Huey. They just go from one thing to the other and ruin it.
Yeah. And a story like this is not in any way a remedy for superhero fatigue. It's just a poor cliche that's run comicdom into the ground. So,
Is it? I like to know what kind of movies that Kafka has influenced. He says that he has and does not list any of them.
hmm, right, let's see. You've seen movies influenced by Kafka. This is also idiotic because Kafka didn't live in the Czech Republic.
Huh? Where did he live? Enlighten us.
Well, was it really the Czech Republic at that point? If it was early 19th century,
Oh, he was in the Hungarian Empire. Okay.
yeah, he lived in the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Yeah.
Well, I guess technically that's true. It wasn't called the area wasn't called the Czech Republic at the time. It was called the Austro-Hungarian. When it was about the Czech Republic didn't even exist at that point.
Well, I guess what they probably should have said he lived in the area that is now known as the Czech Republic.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with
That would
that.
be the proper way to state that.
Yeah.
Again, what movies did Kafka inspire? I actually kind of want to know now. Elk, sir.
Let me see if I can possibly. And I'll do a quick search here, see if I can find.
Now that he's made that statement, I kind of want to know. I don't understand. That is a non sequitur. What do comedies have to do with? So did he influence a lot of comedies? You better
Well,
send it.
Tim, I actually found what looks like an article here that may answer that question.
Oh,
The top 10 best movies influenced by Franz Kafka.
Brazil the movie? Oh, gonna have to watch Brazil the movie then. I'll put that on my list of things to watch. Do tell Mike. Share with us, if you will.
Well, here it is right here. Taste of Cinema movie reviews and classic movie list. Top 10 movies influenced by Franz Kafka. Look at how the guy's pulling that
Making
lady.
lunch. Hmm.
Yeah, let's see if I can somehow increase the size of that print a bit so it's a little more legible. For those who don't know, Franz Kafka is one of the major authors of the 20th century. His novels and short stories are filled with anxiety, surrealism, and persecution. He uses these feelings so so his novels and short stories are filled with anxiety, and that's something you were talking about, right, Tim?
Oh, okay. So
Persecution.
is Kafka a communist?
Persecution. He uses these feelings so the reader can be shocked by the cruelty of the world and of society, but most of all by man who built the two and who is shown as what he really is, an insect. The strangest thing in his literature is that, in spite of the absurd situations, characters are forced to live. They do not perturb them, and they deal with them as if they were commonplace. The entire world collapses, and so let's look at these movies. I don't guess I need to read the entire article here. Just so 10, Inland Empire, from David Lynch, 2008. Um, you should I just read Tim? Do you think I should just read the titles, or do you want me to actually read the
Oh, David Lynch's Eraserhead. Yeah, that was a weird movie.
Inland Empire? 9 Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick, 1999. That one was
I heard Stanley Kubrick was a crazy guy himself.
all right. Let's see. 8 Shadows and Fog by Woody Allen, 1991.
And then we gotta come home and pay for
All right. 7 Franz Kafka's It's a Wonderful Life by Peter Capaldi, 1995. 6 Videodrome by David Cronenberg, 1984. Oh, page 2. All right. 5 Brazil by Terry Gilliam, 1985. So this is the movie that that Elk.
Yeah, he did.
Elk mentioned. He was mentioning it a lot yesterday too. Naked Lunch, where the writer turns into a bug. Any movie with a theme of being dehumanized by bureaucracy or turned into bugs. Yeah. Or made insane. No.
Well, I don't know what he's saying no. He might be saying no to the fact. What I asked was he a communist?
This article is 1,000 times more interesting than Avi Green.
Huh. Okay.
Let's see. 4 The Tenant from Roman Polanski, 1976. Roman Polanski, didn't he kill his wife or something like that? Or
No, he was caught at what was it? Jack Nicholson's house by Jack Nicholson having relations with an underage girl, and he fled after being released. He fled the country.
Okay. Yeah. 3 Ludenzia by Marco Ferrari, 1972. 2 The Trial by Orson Welles, 1962. Now, as we know, of course, Orson Welles was known for
Citizen Kane.
But also for I think he also did War of the Worlds too, I believe. And 1 After Hours by Martin Scorsese. So there
Martin
you go.
Scorsese is one of my favorite directors, especially when it comes like Gangs of New York or Taxi Driver.
Well, did you see After Hours here?
No, I did not see After Hours. Most likely, it probably took place in New York, like all his films do.
Yeah, but well, there you go. There you go, Tim. So there are the top 10 movies that were influenced by Franz Kafka. So
my favorite author, and everybody knows this, and I said this before, is Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Edgar Rice Burroughs, of course, the guy who did Tarzan.
Tarzan and John Carter the Martian series.
John Carter from Mars.
Yeah, John Carter Mars.
All right. Well, with that now, okay, because now we are actually up to 39 minutes, so I think it's a good time to move on. We'll get to the wrestling wrap up, and then I think it's time to get down to the winding down part of the show, where we go through the wrestling wrap up, followed by.
Before we do, if I may address the. Yes, Charles Manson did kill people and have others kill other people on his orders as well. So, continue.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of Went to the wrong place here. But anyways, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and do So I'm gonna go over the wrestling wrap up here real quick, just some things that um, happened. So in WWE news, a couple of things that are of interest. So The Rock is saying he may not wrestle again until next year's WrestleMania. So that they were talking about that. That might be the next time he might, wrestle again. And also, it was also announced that possibly as early as tonight, Rhea Ripley may have to relinquish the WWE World Women's title as it was revealed that she got injured at a house show over the weekend, so she may have to, depending on how serious the injury is, she may have to relinquish the title. Now, on tonight's Raw, of course, two matches already signed. Sami Zayn defends his newly won Intercontinental title, basically a week after winning it at WrestleMania from Gunther. He's defending it against Chad Gable of Alpha Academy. In the other match, Andrade will be taking on Dominic Mysterio. So that's all the WWE news we have. And AEW news, some interesting stuff came out. Of course, this past Saturday they had their Battle of the Belts show right after Collision. So as soon as I find that here, let's see. Yeah. So and of course, as soon as I get to it here. So at Battle of the Belts, of course, the night opened up with Hook retaining the FTW title in an FTW rules match. That was the title that his father created back in ECW. He's now, of course, winning via referee's decision. He defeated Shane Taylor to win the match. In a eliminator match, now in AEW, eliminator matches are if somebody instead of getting a direct title shot, they actually will get a shot to earn a shot at the title. They basically are given a match with the champion of their choice, and if they beat the champion, then they get a title shot later on. This, of course, is for a shot at the international title currently held by Roderick Strong, which he defended and retained against Rocky Romero. This would eventually lead to the signing of a match for the international title at Dynasty this Sunday, and we'll go over that in a moment here, in which Roderick Strong will be defending the title against Kyle O'Reilly. And then also Athena defended and retained the Ring of Honor Women's World title over Red Velvet. With that, and let me talk about what's coming up, and just to give you guys a heads up on what's happening this Sunday on the Dynasty pay-per-view, what the card looks like at this point. More and possibly more matches to be added on this Wednesday's Dynamite. So on this Sunday, from the Chavez Arena in St. Louis, Missouri, the main event will see Samoa Joe defending the AEW World title against Swerve Strickland in a battle of what is considered two of the best technical wrestlers in the business right now. Bryan Danielson will be taking on Will Ospreay. Also, you'll have for the TBS title, Julia Hart defending against Willow Nightingale. in the tournament final to crown the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, which were vacated upon Sting's retirement after Revolution. In a ladder match, the Young Bucks and Young Bucks will be taking on FTR in the finals of the tournament here in the ladder match. Also, the winner of this match will become the first 3-time AEW World Tag Team Champion. So, a battle between what are considered two of the best teams in all of pro wrestling right now. And in a 6-man tag, you have the House of Black of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews taking on TNT champion, Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, TNT champion Adam Copeland, and New Japan Strong Openweight champion Eddie Kingston in a 6-man tag. Tony Storm defends the AEW Women's World title over former champ Thunder Rosa. Kazuchika Okada defends the Continental title over Pac. And as I mentioned earlier, Roderick Strong will be defending the AEW International title over Kyle O'Reilly. So and then in another bit of interesting news, and what some people are saying kind of cringeworthy and kind of pathetic, there was some video caught of Tony Khan, the current CEO of AEW, begging fans to stay for the show. So AEW is not looking too great, but especially after what they tried to pull last Wednesday, the footage of the whole thing.
That's not. I mean, like in comparison to Vince McMahon, that is like the least. That's not as bad.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's been shown that Tony Khan is probably does not have the thickest skin in the world. He seems to let things upset him pretty quickly. But but anyways, moving on now to some quick news coming out of TNA, Total Nonstop Action. As they also have an event this weekend, which is Rebellion, which will be happening on Saturday. And I'll give you guys the information on that in just a moment here, of course. Let's see. So Rebellion, which will be coming from coming to everybody from the Palms Casino Resort, and airing on TNA Plus. The Countdown to Rebellion show on TNA Plus will feature a 6-man tag in which the Rascals of Myron Reed, Trey Miguel, and Zachary Wentz take on ABC and Leon Slater, ABC of Ace Austin and Chris Bay. And then for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles, the team of Spitfire, Danny Luna and Jody Threat, defend the titles against Decay of Havoc and Rosemary. And then that's on the Countdown show. Then on the main show to Rebellion here, also coming, and airing on Thriller TV. You have in the main event Moose, the TNA World title being defended as Moose, the current champion, defends against Nick Nemeth. The Knockouts World title will be defended as Jordan Grace defends against Steph DeLander, who will have Matt Cardona in a corner. For the TNA World Tag Team titles, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers of The System will be taking on Speedball Mountain of Speedball Mike Bailey and Mustache Mountain Trent Seven. The TNA X Division title will be on the line as Mustafa Ali will be defending against Jake Something. In a Full Metal Mayhem match, you have Frankie Kazarian taking on Eric Young. In a Last Man Standing match, you have Josh Alexander taking on Hammerstone. And in a one-on-one match, you have former TNA World Champion Rich Swann with AJ Francis in the corner taking on Joe Hendry, the former digital media champion. So that's all that we have for the wrestling wrap-up.
What the heck is a digital media champion?
It was a title that, as Impact, they created I guess it's a title that basically you can have intergender matches. You can you know I guess one of the types of matches you can have for it is what they call a .com match, which is essentially just a hardcore match, just using like computer equipment.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, it's just another title. I think it was kind of one of those things where they just thought, yeah, let's create this digital media championship because we're in the digital media era, obviously. Actually, it was funny because the first champion was Jordan Grace, and then she was defeated for the title by Matt Cardona. So,
Okay.
it's one of those titles, I guess you can have. You could actually have intergender matches where But anyways, that's all. That's all I got for you there. So now we'll start to wind things down even further. With today being Monday, let's see, 2009, 2019, 1994, and 1984. Okay, so today being Monday, April 15th, 2024, let's take a look back at this day in Niche history. History! So, first off, we're going to head back 40 years ago. As on this date, 40 years ago today, on Japanese television, the anime TMS Entertainment's God Mazinger and Tatsunoko Productions' Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross both premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 1984, 40 years ago today. God Mazinger was part of the Mazinger franchise, a pretty popular mecha anime that originally started all the way with Mazinger Z back in 1972 or 3, I believe. And then Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross, that's actually part of the Macross series, the series that eventually gave us Robotech. So those two
Oh, okay.
those two series premiered on Japanese television back in 1984. So now moving ahead to 10 years to 1994. 1994. On this date, 30 years ago today, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the first adult-oriented
Hell yeah.
animated series for Cartoon Network, premiered on Cartoon Network on this date back in 1994. Would run for what looked like about 7 seasons there, and then of course switched over to Adult Swim before coming back, for 3 years, and then coming back on Game Tap in 2006. So on this date, 30 years ago today, was the Cartoon Network premiere of Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
I believe the last guest they had on the show was Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, and I know they fully switched over to Adult Swim when some of they allowed some very lewd jokes on the show
Yeah.
where Space Ghost asked Triumph, "Have you worked with Lassie?" And he said, "Well, if you mean banged her up the A, then yes." And then he looks at Zorak and go, "Can we say that on television?" He's like, "Nope." Anything happened? A bunch of money came in, and then he kind of looks at the camera and goes, "Then I too banged," and then all of a sudden the screen goes blank. I knew pretty much right then and there that it was now Adult Swim.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting ready to move on then. So moving ahead to 2009. On this date, 15 years ago today, in 2009, the 100th and final issue of 100 Bullets from DC's Vertigo imprint went on sale on this date back in 2009. So on this date back in 2009, 15 years ago today, the 100th and final issue of DC's 100 Bullets went on sale on newsstands from DC's Vertigo imprint.
Yeah, you said
It,
that.
it sold for $4.99 with 48 pages. The title was House of Graves, written by Brian Azzarello, with Edward Risso doing the art, Clem Robbins doing the lettering, and Patricia Mulvihill doing the coloring. Were you about to say something there, Tim?
I was gonna say how interesting that a comic book called 100 Bullets went out on its 100th issue.
Yeah.
What was it about anyway? Because I mean I've heard.
I don't know. I've never actually looked into it. I have seen 100 Bullets. It was on its Vertigo imprint, so it probably it was on the Vertigo imprint. So my guess it probably was a somewhat of a more, I guess, mature comic. I guess.
Well, but what was Vertigo known for except for maybe Sandman?
Yeah. Or a darker version of Sandman, anyways.
Well, I mean, it was as far as everyone else, it was the quintessential Sandman.
Yeah.
That other Sandman doesn't count.
Well, there was an earlier Golden Age Sandman.
Yeah, like I said, that Sandman don't count. That's just me. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. My bad.
What?
I thought maybe you lost your spot.
No, I'm actually trying to look up 100 Bullets here, so I can give you.
Oh.
Trying to see if there's. Oh wait, maybe I should have gone to the DC database instead of going to GCD. That might be a better idea, Mike.
I mean, they do have. Sometimes when I want to, I mean, AI does have its advantages.
Okay, so let's see.
Let's see what this says. Okay, it's coming, and
I'm gonna share that screen real quick, and then I'll read over some of
Agent
that.
Graves approaching. The core concept revolves around the question. God dang it! Wait, why does it have to move up, and then you lose a spot? Okay.
100 Bullets is an Eisner and Harvey award-winning comic book written by Brian Azzarello, illustrated by Eduardo Risso. It is published by DC Comics under its Vertigo imprint. Let's see.
Okay, yeah. Never mind. You got to it before I did.
Well, I found it. I mean,
it's all good.
Yeah, but let's see. Well, they don't give much more information on it here, but let's see. Well, let me go one more thing then. American comic book. So the plot, the core. Okay, and I guess you were about to read this part here. So the core concept of 100 Bullets is based on the question of people willing to act on the desire of violent revenge if given the means, opportunity, and a reasonable chance to succeed. Many of the first issues involve the mysterious Agent Graves approaching someone who has been a victim of a terrible wrong. Graves gives them the opportunity to take revenge by providing a handgun, 100 bullets, and documentation about the primary target responsible for their woes. He informs the candidate the bullets are completely untraceable by any law enforcement investigation, and as soon as they are found at any crime scene, investigations will immediately cease. All right. Well, What did you think of that, Tim?
Sorry, I was just saying. I thought it was an interesting concept. But I was just thinking while you were reading that concept. The summary of the concept of the book. I've been watching a lot of videos about the movie Wishmaster.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting would it be if like somebody could grant you the means to have revenge? I don't know. I was just thinking how if you could easily combine both ideas, what would that look like?
All right. And with that, we have one more piece in each history to go over real quick here. And we go back 5 years to 2019. And on this date in 2019, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And it saw in the main event, saw the members, saw Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and AJ Styles defeat Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley. In a number one contendership match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship, Lacey Evans defeated Natalya. Let's see, among the Usos defeated Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, and the night opened up with the revival of Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, now known as FTR, as Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, respectively, and the Viking experience of Ivar and Eric defeating Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona, Kurt Hawkins, aka Brian Myers, Ricochet, and Aleister Black, aka Malachi Black, in the opening match of the evening. So you also saw an attempt at a match between current NWA World Champion EC3 and current now, and Braun Strowman that never got started. So there you go. That happened 5 years ago. So that's all that we have for you guys tonight. And look who's here. Rick's here. Rick, did you make it to your you make it back to Ontario already?
Did he make it? Yeah, he said Monday, right? He'd be back in.
Well, Monday, possibly Tuesday morning, I guess. Awesome, Canada. So anyway, I guess before we head out, of course, Tim, did you want to do an outro before we head out?
Yes, Melvin 1 and 2 special editions are available on Walmart, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. Check it out.
All right. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And he's still in Vancouver. Okay. No, I am at the airport, still in Vancouver. Okay. All right. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Now we'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow. Of course, I'll have Tim with me again tomorrow.
Yep.
Tim's going to be with us for the for the next 5 days here. So that's going to be fun. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.